Hello, heathens.
Hello, Athens.
Today is an impromptu episode because neither Nicole and I liked the next episode we were gonna do, and so we changed it,
In
but
true heathen fashion,
we
we
changed
also
we both changed it to something that we both did not agree on in the way we agreed on it, but we didn't think
it
we were doing that.
made sense in my head.
Yeah, me too. I was like, oh, we're gonna do Halloween. And you're like, yeah, no, we're doing Abracadabra. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. I'll research Halloween. You said, cool, I'll research
I'll research
Abracadabra.
abracadabra. So
So today we're gonna do Halloween. Next week we're gonna do Abracadabra, and then after that we have stuff that I'm also really the end of the season right now has like been my favorite. Astrology was really good. Cult was fun.
yeah, that was great.
That was really good. So we're gonna talk about Halloween. We did do an episode on Samhain. Remember, it looks like Sam Hain, but it's pronounced Samhain last year. But we're gonna do more like just to get us in the Halloween, the spooky spirit, because she's coming.
She's coming.
She's coming. We got 4 more Thursdays till we have Halloween.
Oh, I love her so much.
It's like we almost get like 1, 2, 3, 4. We almost get like 5 weeks in this month.
Bless you.
That felt really good.
Praise you.
Okay, so we thought also just to say this really quick, I don't know how after 2 years of doing this almost 2 full years of doing this, that we still think that one word is going to be easy. What?
That's fucking true.
Because in deciding today what we were going to do based on the two parts of information that we got, we realized that abracadabra actually doesn't just, it's not just a word that magicians on stage use, and there's a lot more, which obviously we'll get into next week, but like, holy fuck. Be prepared.
Yeah, as we're like, I'm like, oh, this will be easy. We'll be like this. And then we'll probably say something like how to use it and what it was used for and like how would you use it today and blah blah blah. And then like you start unpacking that and you're like, wait, how big is this box?
Yeah, you're like, wait, I thought there was like
I
two
thought it
things
was
in
a
here.
small box, right? No,
Yeah.
no, there's a bigger box below it that you didn't see.
Yeah. And then you're like, wait, this box goes with it too?
Yeah,
What the
yep.
fuck?
It's like you got the delivery of a three-part package, but you only got the first delivery.
Yeah. Yeah,
And here
that's a
comes the
great
other
way.
two. Hmm.
Great way to say that, because that's so yeah, next week we'll be doing Abracadabra. Halloween is a bit easier for us because we are both
Because
Halloween
we live
nerds.
it. Yeah.
Love it. It is life. Probably that what, 11th house, 12th house, whatever house you want to say, influence within our lives. Eighth,
Apps. Eighth
ninth,
house.
10th,
Eighth. 10th.
eighth and on.
Eighth. All of it. The whole thing.
The
I
whole
don't know.
thing is the worm.
The underworld. Okay.
So, okay, so what I got for today for Halloween is some history because I feel like when we talked about Maven, we touched lightly on this, but or not Maven, Samhain, sorry. We touched lightly on this, but I just did not realize all the history behind it. And history nerd over here, I thought it was pretty interesting. So,
Mm-hmm.
to get into it, in much of Europe and most of North America, like Halloween is largely non-religious, right? It's usually celebrated with like, parties and spooky costumes, passing out candy, but the holiday
Right.
actually is the beginning of All Hallow Tide, meaning All Hallows Eve is a part of that too, which is a three-day Christian holiday dedicated to remembering the dead that begins with Halloween on the 31st or All Hallows Eve, and it's
Mm-hmm.
followed by All Saints Day on November 1st and All Souls Day on November 2nd,
Mm-hmm.
which I'm going to be really honest here, did not know that. Would see All Saints Day on my calendar and be like, whatever the fuck that is. Doesn't apply to
Yeah,
me,
I
apparently.
think I had heard something about the night before is like it's a three-part process. Like I think you fall and you die on Halloween, theoretically. Or and then you're almost like reborn on All Saints Day. I don't actually know about All Souls Day. Like I definitely heard of that, but I never have I don't know what the implications are of it.
I didn't get too much into the All Saints and All Souls Day. Um, Let me just see if I can pull something up really quick because I did think about that, but then, with the history of Halloween kept going and I kept getting deeper into that. And so distractions. Um,
Distraction.
All Souls Day or Soul Saturday is a day designated for the remembrance of the dead. So that is the Christian, more Catholic day you remember the dead. That's it.
Honoring, I'll pray for the recently departed souls on saints' days. Commemorating all saints, martyrs were held by the several churches. It doesn't actually say anything about All Souls Days, though. Interesting. Interesting.
Interesting. To continue, yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
Okay. So Halloween had its origins in the festivals of Samhain among the Celts of ancient Britain,
Breton.
and Ireland. What is wrong with me? Sorry. It's not heathens at night, but it feels like it.
It feels like it.
So during Samhain festivals, the souls of those who have died were believed that to return to visit to their homes. So, like, if you had a family member pass away, they would come back and return to your home during Samhain festivals. And those who had died during the year were believed to journey to the other world. This was like when Celts believed that the veil was the thinnest. This is when people would visit you and then travel on if they got stuck here.
Hmm.
So people would set bonfires on hilltops for relighting their hearth fires for the winter and to frighten away evil spirits because they were also worried that with the veil being this thin, that evil spirits could easily come to your house and like fuck shit up essentially.
Well, and that's
And
why they did like jack-o'-lanterns and stuff like that because they were
yes.
actually wards and wore masks so they could fit in.
Yes, ma'am.
Hmm.
Yep. This is where a lot of Halloween costumes came from, is because they would wear the
Hmm.
masks. This is also why a lot of like creature symbols. There we go. That's the word I want. Symbols like witches and skeletons and things like that are also associated with Halloween, and why they became a Halloween symbol is because people would try to dress up like that to hopefully avoid being recognized by any of the ghosts thought to be present. And it was like
Hmm.
you would not leave your house without a costume on because otherwise,
It would be taken over by the dark arts.
yeah, literally.
I
Which
do
we
believe
have.
that's why they put cake or something like that outside to like have an offering, right?
Yeah, yeah. So they had soul cakes, but there's also two meanings for soul cakes, right? So while they would do like, wearing masks and costumes and then it turned into partying and trick-or-treating, that all came from the British practice of allowing the poor to beg for food too, called soul cakes. And the distribution of soul cakes was encouraged by the church as a way to replace the ancient practices of leaving food and wine for roaming spirits. So it would be like a way to give back so that like people that were homeless could get food, right? But then also it comes from that thought process of you could protect your home by putting food outside for the spirits. And
Hmm.
then also if you had family members coming back, they could also gain energy from the food or whatever you put out for them
Hmm. Hmm.
outside of your house as well. What I did not know is that this period of All Hallows Tide was thought to be favorable for divination on matters such as marriage, health, and death, which we'll get into further, but I did not know that, especially the marriage part. There are which I will bring up later as we get through the history part, that there was a lot of different things that we do now that were used as marriage divinations.
Hmm.
Super interesting.
That's cool.
So when the Romans conquered the Celts in the first century CE, they added their own festivals of, I'm ignorant, so I do not know how to say this. Feralia, which is their commemoration of the passing of the dead.
Okay.
And then they also added in the goddess of harvest for themselves, Poma, Poma, Pomana. I want to say Moana, but it's not Moana. It's Pomama.
Oh, mama.
Pomana. Pomana.
Woman.
This is where apples and a lot of things came into um All Hallows Tide. So like the 3-day festival, which we would do now, being more modern, be Halloween.
Mhm.
Pagans. Samhain. But that's why we have that mixed in too, is because when the Romans conquered the Celts, they brought their own flavor of this holiday and mixed it in with the
Mhm.
Celtic traditions. So after that, when the Protestants moved over here, they had essentially put an end to All Hallows Eve, everything Halloween. It was largely forbidden among the American colonists, right? It wasn't until large groups of immigrants, including the Irish, came to the US beginning in the mid 19th century that they took their Halloween customs with us. And then in the 20th century, Halloween's become one of our like biggest holidays, right? So it's like it all originated within the Celts and the British,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
then Romans took over, they mixed it around. Protestants came here. We lost all of it. We luckily got immigrants. We have our traditions back. Different flavors.
Right. Different flavors.
Yes. Um,
Thank God they brought it back.
I mean, fucking seriously, could you imagine? Could you imagine?
Well, they tried because I mean, even the if we talk about Salem, like that's the reason why the witchcraft trials were all it all started was with them. They were very strict. There was no laughing. There you had to wear black all the time. You had to like it was very suppressive. You couldn't dance, you couldn't have fun, you couldn't and when, of course, the teenagers would sneak out at night and go into the woods and dance around a fire, sometimes naked, so they wouldn't dirty their outfits because then they would get caught because it's not like they had washing machines. Like you had one outfit, like that was it.
Mhm.
And that turned into a whole thing. Witchcraft,
Witchcraft, man. Witches.
witches.
Yeah, I mean, the Protest, that's a whole nother thing. That's a whole nother thing. I mean,
Hmm.
so yes, on Halloween, people would place the food out to appease a ghost, prevent them from attempting to enter. Bobbing for apples is thought to have derived from the Roman celebrations of Pomana. Pom Pomona. Yep. No idea how to say that. Again, ignorant to Roman language. Anyways. So yes, another symbol is the jack-o'-lantern, which is the hollowed out pumpkin. Originally,
Hmm.
it was turnips, and
Yep,
people would
yep.
carve the turnips, put them in their windows and in their doorways to keep away evil spirits. So like they believed, I
We
read
should
this, I
get
forgot
some
to write this down.
turnips.
Yeah, I'm like, turnips in my head are small. How do you carve that out?
We're gonna
Are they
find out.
also in my head, they're like a beet,
Right.
not like a pumpkin with a hard shell that you can carve into.
Like it doesn't, I don't know if it has like,
I know. I, s- I thought about, I'm glad you're thinking about this because like it in my head I was really struggling with how the hell did they carve these?
I mean, they might not have like hollowed it out. They might have just, yeah, because they're probably about the size of a baseball or softball. They're a root vegetable. They probably just carved them. They probably didn't hollow them out, is what I'm guessing.
Let me look this, see, grab this on my phone. There are videos on YouTube on I love the Ethernet. There are
Either. Oh,
videos on how to carve a turnip jack-o'-lantern.
they do take the middle out.
Ooh, spooky. Look at that one.
Oh, that one's not very, that would keep me away from your house for sure.
Yeah,
Look at that one.
wow, okay, that's really impressive. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. If I saw these outside of your house, they kind of look like shrunken heads to me.
They really do. That's fascinating.
Hmm. Wow. Yeah, no, that's pretty spooky. So, okay. So on or around the 1st of November, the Druids would hold their great autumn festivals, and theirs they would light fires in honor of the sun god and thanksgiving for the harvest. And it was a Druid belief that on the eve of this festival, or on the eve of this festival, Salmon, Saman, Lord of Death,
Salmon?
maybe? Ignorant again. Sorry. The festival, I'm gonna say salmon. Saman. Where's Rocky when you need him? The Lord of Death called together the wicked souls that passed within the 12 months and have been condemned to inhabit the bodies of animals and would pass through their fires. I
Yes,
did
because
not
the
know that.
fire is cleansing.
So cool.
Because we would do that when we go to Rocky's house and we pass through the two fires.
I didn't realize that it was like because of like to help the spirits move, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, that's so cool. Like, gotta have a fire.
You gotta have a fire.
Okay, so when it comes to the divination parts, I found this super entertaining. Young believed on Halloween that they could divine the name or appearance of their future husbands by doing different stuff. There was like yarn tricks and apple pairings and mirrors all on Halloween. And some of these rituals are obviously obsolete because we've forgotten them, but they focused a lot on future instead of the past and the living instead of the dead on Halloween. So many had to do with helping them, yeah, find their future husbands and reassuring them that if they did something right during this or something, one of these rituals went well, then they would someday get married and with any luck by the next Halloween. So in the 18th century Ireland, there would be like a matchmaking cook who would bury one of her rings in mashed potatoes on Halloween night, hoping to bring true love to the diner who found it. Because they would have big, what's the word I want? Where we all come and eat food together.
A banquet or
Thank
a
you.
okay.
That works. Yeah, like a banquet where everybody would come together. And so, like, if you
Mhm.
found the ring in the mashed potatoes, you were likely to get married within the year.
It sounds like when they used to do in New Orleans, they put the baby, the king baby, and whoever found it would be the king for the day or whatever.
Yes.
It sounds a lot like that too.
I love that. I forgot about that.
Because they're called king cakes, aren't they?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Um, in Scotland, fortune tellers recommended that an eligible young woman would name a hazelnut for each one of her suitors and then toss the nuts into the fireplace. And there's two different ways that this would work and different stories being told between the two. One of them is that the nut that burned to ashes rather than popping or exploding represented the girl's future husband. The other one was the first one that popped was her future husband. So
Oh,
depended on which fortune teller you went to.
right. It probably depends on what they, again, it's witchcraft, so it's all very personal.
Yeah,
Hmm.
absolutely. The other one I have is another tale had it that if a young girl ate a sugary concoction made out of walnuts, hazelnuts, and nutmeg before bed on Halloween night, she would dream about her future husband.
Oh,
Yeah.
we should do that.
Which, listen, man, walnuts, hazelnut, and nutmeg. Throw a little sugar in there. I'm down. Um, Bobbing for apples, you would name your suitors, place them in the water, and whichever one you could catch was most likely going to be your future husband.
Oh, okay.
So I'm like, huh. I hated bobbing for apples as a kid. I hated it.
I didn't mind it, but the older you get, the more time you put on your makeup, the more it's not waterproof. And do you know how much I spent on this hair? No.
Yeah,
I'm not putting my face in water.
literally. I know.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, hell no, that ain't gonna be me.
Mm-mm.
I just, I didn't enjoy it when I was a kid either, so not surprising. I definitely wouldn't do it now. Although
Well,
maybe I would,
I'm a fish, remember? I can't help it.
right? Lives water.
I love the water. If I could do hair in the water, I would. I don't know how that would work, but
Yeah, I was just thinking about that. I'm like, I don't know how that worked, but who knows?
we would like cut it as it was like this.
Yeah.
We
Some
would
new
have
form of haircuts.
yeah, we had respirators on, and you would have to be like,
Um, so that's what I got on the history of Halloween. Next, I have some ritual ideas and some traditions. Um,
well, I remember, real quick, I
oh yeah, go ahead.
remember oh God, what were they called? Know Thyself. And the whole hour that they have on Halloween and how it's related it's almost like we're reliving the fall from grace every year. So what they had said is that basically around when it goes from the sun hitting its longest day of the year in June, then after that it keeps getting shorter. So from that is the emulation of falling into our death in Halloween or All Saints Day.
Mm,
And then how we're reborn again, which kind of with the pagans and the witches, like that's kind of this is their new year, right? Like this is the way
yeah.
right?
I was gonna say, isn't it our new year too? Yeah,
Yes.
Halloween's the best.
Well, the funny thing is I just uh heard today Trinity has school off because it's a Jewish holiday. It's a Jewish New Year.
Oh,
Yeah.
cool.
And I thought that was cool too. I haven't looked anything into it, but I was like, that's interesting.
I'm just curious if it shows up. You know what's always interesting is how some holidays will show. Oh yeah, it's Rosh Hashanah.
Rosh Hashanah. Rosh.
I did not know that was the Jewish New Year. I love learning.
I also believe that this is in the Greek uh myths. This is where Persephone is going to the underworld for her time.
Um,
Oh, there's a lot of scrying and mirror gazing,
yes.
dream interpretations, special bonfires, lots of divination. So if you wanted any kind of like answers to questions that you need to know, um, as we get closer to Halloween, the better it will be.
Heck
Now,
yeah.
if you do this, I would say at least set up, have your intentions be who you actually want to contact, and not just anybody telling you, because that's where you get like misinformation. So even
Mhm.
setting up a circle and only allowing like one or a group of people that you've deemed respectable in your circle.
Absolutely. Some other rituals and ideas and traditions is definitely setting up an ancestral altar if you don't have one
Hmm.
already. You just create a sacred space to honor your ancestors. So you could do photos and items that remind you of them and give them
Hmm.
offerings like flowers, food, drinks, whatever, something that you know they enjoyed while they were here. The Celts
Hmm.
believed that the veil again was really thin, and the altar would serve as a symbolic bridge between the two.
Hmm.
So that if your family members wanted to come and visit you, you have given them the bridge to walk on to come and visit you.
And that's
Um,
all altars too. The altar is the communication. It's like the cell phone to the spirit world or the higher world or however you want to deem it. But even like in ritual magic, it is a communication between spirit and you.
mhm. Yeah, and having one for I keep one up of my ancestors all the time, but I'll light
Hmm.
usually a candle once a week on and let it
Hmm.
burn while I'm home. Um, but I feel like it's an easy one and it's a cool one because it can really make you feel like you're getting in touch with people if you miss them. My next one I have is holding a dumb supper. I think we did talk about this last year in our Samhain episode. But this meal is held in complete silence to honor your loved ones who have passed on. So, like, you cook a meal with like seasonal foods. You can include recipes that you knew were like some of your ancestors' favorites, and you set them on the table as you would for yourself and everybody else you can light. But then you put a place setting for them too, and you serve them food and you
Hmm.
light a candle to invite them in. And then everybody in attendance eats in silence without your phone, of course. We're all in silence because during the mirror meal, you're quietly reflecting on like their lives and like your
Hmm.
memories with them as you eat. So after you've finished your meal, you can use that food and set it on your ancestors' altar. But if you know you can set it outside, you could place it outside to give to like the spirits that are coming as well. What I thought was cool is the article that I'd read this in had said that Salem, Massachusetts, in Salem during Halloween towards the end, you can attend an annual dumb supper and it's they have the silverware all placed in reverse and the meal is actually served backwards too. So you start with dessert and then you go all the way through until like the dinner rolls.
Which is really how I live my life anyway. But
Yeah, I mean, let's be honest. I do too. I'm like, ice cream before dinner? Sure.
yes, yes, indeed.
We talked about the bonfires, but definitely hosting a bonfire gathering is really a good one too. Um, it's to resemble the relighting the hearth in your home to get you through like the winter months.
Hmm.
As well as it can be cleansing depending on how you use it. But it's also a great
Intentional.
one to have like your family around because ancestors could come to that as well.
Hmm.
Oh, what else do I have? Carving pumpkins or turnips. We already talked about that. Oh,
Yes.
feast. That's the word I was looking for earlier. Not a banquet,
Yes.
feast.
I was like, banquet's not right, but that's the closest I can get.
Yeah, you could prepare a Samhain feast too for your family and friends. And, that's a tradition. It's just to observe the tradition of being around your family and friends during that time. Um, you could do there's, recipes for soul cakes out there too. You could bake a soul cake. Um, One that I saw that I didn't think about too is you can make
Yep, you can do it.
protection charms.
There you go.
No, I would be a very good wizard because I would go to say something and be like Ron Weasley, and I'd just like make up some word and then it wouldn't work. Words are joining together.
It's fine. It's all in the intention anyway.
So in addition to carving like turnips or pumpkins, you can also craft like protective charms or amulets from like any natural
Hmm.
materials. There's a lot of recipes, I guess you could say out there. And then you can charge them with protective energy during your Samhain rituals, like during the bonfire and things like that, to
Hmm.
ward off any negative influences throughout the winter. Because you'll be
Hmm.
basically, if you did it during the bonfire, you'd be carrying that fire with you throughout the winter.
Right.
Um,
I found that magic on Halloween and the fire specifically is very potent. I believe that I in 2020 I was in my backyard by myself with a fire and I had like made a wish of some sort. And that I would say in 6 months' time is when I found ritual magic.
you
Like it
found
was April.
your husband
I found my
ritual.
husband, my
Yeah,
ritual.
your husband, whose name is Ritual Magic.
Yes, I did.
Her life partner.
My life partner found me, and now he has taught me the error of my ways.
I mean, yeah, we say this a lot. I think it's a good time to say it again, is that there's power in symbols, there's power in traditions. It's something that when you do something on the same day every year and there's multiple people doing it, there's power in that within the ether.
Hmm. Well, and
So
that Halloween, it was like a full moon in Taurus. Like
beautiful.
it was fantastic.
Yeah, I would love to have a
A seance, a ritual.
yes, under a full moon. My Lord. I don't know what's happening right now. I think I'm going brain dead. You're
Brain
welcome, you
dead.
guys.
Died.
Dead, dead, dead. Christ.
Heathens, heathens. You made choices.
Um, if you're brave enough, Halloween's also a really good time to do shadow work because the veil is thin. And it's a good time to like journal, meditate on doing shadow work because it could reveal aspects of yourselves in past that you like didn't realize you could release because the veil is so thin, it's easier to make room for growth and renewal.
Mhm. Well, this is a great way to even like parts of yourself that you're done with and to like bury it or throw it in the fire or, that kind of thing to transmute it or burying it sends it back into the earth where it can be balanced. Um, these different ways of doing that will really help. And it's really potent at that time too, because the energies are so willing to transform and transmute those energies.
Yeah. Um, the last thing I have is simmer pots, of course. Easy one.
We love simmer
We
pots.
love a good simmer pot. We like the
Hmm.
smell. I like the
Hmm.
way it feels. Simmer pots are so easy too. If you like, Halloween has become a very big tradition in the way of like, we're gonna spend a lot of money on costumes and candies, and we have a lot to do, and blah, blah, blah. While you're doing that stuff or you're getting stuff ready for your family or anything, if you wanted to do something for yourself for your home, simmer pot's quick and easy, and you can do it while you're doing other stuff.
Well, and the thing is don't, it's, it's not, it's probably more potent than anything else. And obviously it depends on intention and stuff like that. But I was just thinking that simmer pot literally has all four elements in it. Where like if I have just sage or an incense or oil, it only has like one thing. Like oil technically is the alchemization of those things, but um in a simmer pot you have water turning into air, and then you have the fire underneath it, and then you have
Mhm.
the earth, the element or the herbs inside of the water. So it's a very interesting like balance of all four elements are present, and it's
That's
very potent.
it's a great way to say think about that because I did not think about that. And it's just so easy. It's
It's
so
so
easy.
easy.
And it can be so simple. You know, when you're gonna think about a simmer pot for Halloween, you gotta start thinking about things that are in it, like apples, cinnamon cloves, things like that. And then if you want to I tell people now to think about it like you would a crystal, because Nicole taught me this with crystals, and now I say it with simmer pots because I think we get too in our heads about making everything perfect and not
Hmm.
going for what we need, or like we think too much and then we're like, oh my God, like, well, this and that. Just do like, oh my God, cinnamon sounds like it's gonna smell good today. Oh, cloves, yeah, I'll put cloves in it, or allspice, or
Hmm.
oh, I'm gonna
Hmm.
put this in it. And then if you want to look it up later of like what those things mean and what this concoction can mean for you, because I think that if we get too specific about it, sometimes we're lost in the ingredients and not in the intention.
Right.
And we want to be lost in the intention behind it.
Hmm. Because the whole thing is it's your your subconscious will tell you exactly what you need. We kind of push it out of the way, like, oh, I don't know enough to know this. So of course I need to like study it and make sure it's perfect and all that kind of stuff. When really your subconscious will literally tell you, like me, even when you're doing divination with like a pendulum, there's I've seen how they talked about it like sciencey wise is that like there's little vibrations in your like subconscious and through the heat and bumps in your hands that will help it swing back and forth. Even though you
Mhm.
think you're not doing it, it's still you moving through you
Mm,
in more of a subconscious way than a conscious way.
I like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it's also like I was just thinking too, it reminds me of chefs. All good chefs just cook. They don't follow recipes verbatim. They do
Mm-mm.
what makes their heart happy and what they think is going to be good, and they're just like, oh yeah, sure, some of that, and
Like, oh, that sounds good. Yeah.
yeah, kind of like the same thing. But that's how we pick out
Mm-hmm.
crystals too. I tell everybody that now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Hey Cassie, how do I pick out a crystal? Which one's pretty? Which one do you
Right.
like?
Yep.
That's how you do it. Look it up later. Because otherwise,
Mm-hmm.
you're going to get on your, I don't need that, when truly your subconscious is like, the fuck we don't.
No, no, come back.
We need that. What are you doing? You're like, shh, shh, shh.
Well, because that's the whole thing is you start judging what, like, I picked that up for a reason, but then you read the card and you're like, I don't need that.
Yeah, exactly. I don't need that. What do I need that for?
I don't need to work on that. I've already
Yeah.
worked on that.
So that's what I got at Halloween. Um,
I like that.
Easy episode today, you guys. Easy, chill. We love Halloween. Watch some spooky movies. Because that always gets you in the mood.
Yes. My tattoo artist and his wife always start Halloween and they watch their favorite horror movies throughout October.
That.
Mm-hmm.
We are watching Harry Potter right now.
Oh, so great.
And that's starting my Halloween off. And I'm like, this is starting Halloween off really nice.
Hell yeah. Well, what is your favorite memory of Halloween?
Hmm. Ever, or just in general in life?
Yes.
Well, it's not technically on Halloween, but it still counts. Theater Bazaar.
Mm-hmm.
I am a slut for Theater Bazaar. I
Mm-hmm.
love it. It is 8 floors worth of shows. They have not done it since COVID. They were going to last year, but then they had a whole debacle with like scheduling at the place they do it at. They're not doing it again this year. They don't know what's going to happen with it. And I'm really sad because that really got me in the spirit, because it is not only is it 8 floors worth of shows, you cannot get into this party if you are not dressed in Halloween some costume. And I love it so much.
Yeah, I mean, the creativity that happens in this, and it's in the Masonic Temple. Oh,
Oh, which is just so freaking cool.
right.
And like everybody in costumes in the shows. They had like freak shows and they had like
Mm-hmm.
different like performers for like music and
Mm-hmm.
they had like just so it's just like being transported into a different world. And every year I remember being like, we gotta get there when they open because every year I'm like, it's closing already. I
Yeah,
can be
yeah.
here for the
Well, because
rest of the
we
night.
that's the thing is like usually we have to like get ready, which is like an 8 hour process. And then getting there on time is like a whole nother thing. I've always wanted to do because they were doing the dinner and I've always
Yes.
wanted to like spend the money, get the ball gown, do the
Hmm.
dinner, maybe get a wig, like a white wig, like
Yes.
oh
I've always wanted to do the dinner too, and I've always said if I do the dinner, then I'm taking the whole weekend off, staying the whole weekend in Detroit, and I was going to do the dinner on Friday and then the party on Saturday. Because, like, how freaking
yeah,
cool.
oh man, that would be great.
Yeah, I miss Theater Bazaar a lot. I think that's my favorite Halloween tradition, even though I haven't gotten to do it. But I mean, God, for a minute there, I went 4 years in a row religiously.
Yeah.
What's
No,
your favorite
it was a
Halloween
good
memory?
time. Well, my mom's born on Halloween, so like growing up, we would always have like cake and like candy.
I love that.
So we would like go and she did a lot of like she would paint our faces and like make our costumes, like all that stuff. So that was kind of cool. And then like you get home and then you're like, oh, and now we have cake, which is where my like love for the yellow cake with chocolate frosting is.
Mm.
Dude, I am a sucker for like just a plain cake with yellow cake with chocolate frosting. That's all I want. But you got to make it double tier. You can't have it like a sheet cake because I don't like it like that. You got to have it so it's got the frosting in the middle.
First time we went to Aldi's is all I have to say.
Well, I took an edible that day too.
We went
It
in, it was her first time, and she didn't realize how easy Aldi's was going to be because new places, it makes you nervous, right? It's like makes
right,
I get nervous. I'm like, nah, I don't want to go to Costco. No, that stresses me out. But like,
right.
I remember walking down the cake aisle and you go, oh, yellow and chocolate frosting. And you were like snagging it, throwing it in the cart. You were so happy, and I was cracking up because I was like, oh my God. You're just so excited.
Well, like I said, I don't know what I did. I don't know even why I did it, but I was like, oh, I'm going to take this edible. Because I think I thought it wasn't going to hit me that hard. And then all of a sudden it hit, and I was like, oh my God. And I don't like to be in public and high at the same time. So, of course, I'm like, but then I saw yellow cake and chocolate frosting, and it made everything better. The only thing
Yeah.
that freaked me out was being at the checkout because those people are so serious about their checkout that I was like,
Girl, they are moving
oh.
quick.
I was like, I can't get this on fast enough. I am nervous. I'm gonna hold her up. They're gonna all hate me. Like,
Yeah, it's just like the energy that flows through and all these like checkout is that like holy crap, I gotta get everything out as fast as possible because this lady is like tick, 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 and it's like oh, I haven't even gotten it all out yet.
I know you're like,
It's a freaking workout.
it's almost worse than being in the plane and waiting for your turn because
Yeah.
you don't wanna like have people wait on you. Heaven forbid they wait 5 seconds, right? But this is exactly why I check my luggage, just so I can just get up and leave instead of fuck with it because
Yep.
I don't want the whole plane murdering me because I took an extra 2 seconds to get my bag down.
Yeah, same. Absolutely same. That's just an added layer of stress that I cannot be bothered with.
No, mm-mm. I'm like,
No,
no, mm-mm.
not me.
I can't do it. Mm-mm.
Also worth mentioning, it is very funny slash not coincidental that Halloween is during Scorpio season.
Mm. That is very true. I didn't even think about that.
Our
I
very
mean,
mysterious sign.
very mysterious transformation and death. Like,
Yep. And is it she ruled by Pluto?
well, in the non-traditional planets, yes. Pluto, and Mars
Mars.
in the traditional, yeah.
Yeah.
Pluto and Mars. Which Pluto is, I think, the Roman god for the underworld, which is also in Greek mythology is Hades.
Coincidental, I think. I
I think
think
there's no such
not.
thing as coincidence.
Yeah.
So yeah, folks, that is what we got for Halloween. So, and if you wanted to start a tradition of some sort for Halloween with your like spooky bitches and stuff like that, is do a fun little dinner, instead of, because I know we tried to get into doing like Friendsgiving and stuff like that, but this would be a great way to do that without inhibiting, especially like since we get older and we don't necessarily, if you want to dress up, you can dress up, but this is a good way just to celebrate it with food, with friends. Like it would be very nice and it's easier instead of when we get into the holidays and we get super hectic about it.
I mean, seriously, yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
Christmas is 12 weeks away.
Shut up. Shut your mouth.
You're all welcome for that. When this comes out, it'll be 11.
If you were closer to me, I'd wash your mouth out with soap right now.
You guys are welcome. You are welcome.
Murder. They all want to murder you at this
Hey, consider it
point.
your warning. How about that? You're very welcome. If you made it this far, thank you for listening.
I'm not ready.
Thank you for listening. Sorry to hit you with that blow, but
Fuck.
okay. Next week we're going to talk about abracadabra, the meaning and the
Abracadabra.
origin. There's more than you think. I want to say Havada Kedavra, but that's not the same.
Abracadabra.
So yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's all we got. It's all screw.
Happy Halloween.
We'll see you guys in the next episode.
Bye.